Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ethic Talk Radio Show. I am your host with the most, A.C.Ceenno, and yes, y'all, we broadcasting live here from Los Angeles, California. Don't forget to subscribe to Ethic Radio and also follow Ethic Radio on the Mixcloud app and check out our podcast and all. Without further ado, I have a special guest here by the name of Ashlee Powers. And man, we greatly appreciate you being on this show here and all. And I want to make sure you hear me loud and clear over there, right?
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for asking me to jump on.
Anytime, man. No, thank you, because with all this stuff that's been going on, I mean, man, a lot has transpired that day, going to that night into the morning of the party and all. And man, this is deep because a lot of speculations that's taken place. You know, a woman's life by the name of Brandi Parham, life is gone behind this situation. And rest in peace to Brandi. She was a good friend of mine. I've known her for 15 years and all. But before we begin with this show, Miss Ashlee, how do you feel about the new normal with the pandemic, the COVID-19 and all that, that's going on right now? How do you feel about that?
It's really difficult because it seems that there's no right. I mean, we're kind of running around blind, and there's a lot of things that are completely stopping our lives as a whole.
Yeah.
In every way, I don't think any of us ever pictured our lives being this way. And with the frustration, there's a lot of divisiveness. And I think people as a whole are frustrated, angry, confused.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a new world, and we're trying to adjust so abruptly.
Right. Yeah, I get it. I know, just like wearing a mask, I know that can be a bit difficult, wearing a mask and then you're jogging and all that stuff like that. I know that could be very complicated at times, dealing with this quarantine situation. I know a lot of us is tired of sitting in the house. A lot of us is tired of wearing a mask when we're ripping and running and we're trying to get to our safe haven to take off our mask and stuff like that. So I know it's been like getting out of hand everywhere.
Yeah. And life is canceled, basically.
Yeah.
Cancel culture to a new level.
Right. And a lot of people are affected behind this situation, because it's like now we have to deal with the new normal now,
Yes.
which is unfortunate at this point, but it'll get better. It'll get better for all of us,
Yeah.
So I would like to start off in regards to what happened, because I know the police was called during the day, and I know that officers were impounding vehicles, writing tickets and stuff like that, because they were saying that they heard a lot of noise at the mansion party and all that. Give us your take about that, like during the day, how the party was going during the daytime.
What's kind of interesting is I would have not known the party was going on until I heard the helicopters flying over nonstop. They were really close, and I thought there was a fire, because that's usually what happens when the helicopters are flying continuously. So I went outside to see what was going on, and then I realized that they were just hovering over a party. So initially I thought it was some sort of filming.
Yeah.
I wasn't too clear initially, and that's when, since my boyfriend, he's a filmmaker and he has a drone, we were like, well, why don't we get over there and see? And that's when we saw the party, and what we were most interested by was the fact that there were cops out there, but just sitting there, like standing around. And
so and the cops was around during the daytime, am I correct? Before all this stuff happened. Okay.
This was, I don't know when the party started. It caught my attention, the helicopters around 6 p.m.
Hmm.
So, and, I saw what looked to be a police helicopter and then an unmarked helicopter. So there were
Hmm.
two going over and over, and there were it looked like definitely more than 5, maybe close to 10 officers standing in front of the gate of that property,
Hmm.
which is right next to a neighborhood called Beverly Park.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
guessing that neighborhood is extremely exclusive. So I'm guessing the calls came probably from there because it looked
Yeah.
like their security was sitting out also.
Hmm.
Um, and then I figured maybe the cops are waiting for a warrant or something
Right.
because of COVID. And then I was like, well, I actually joked to my boyfriend, I wish we had friends like that to have a party.
Yeah, because I was told that they said that they didn't want to invade the party at all. They didn't because they felt like, okay, well, we're not going to just walk in there and tell them don't wear no mask or anything like that. But like I said, it was just fishy because it was like this was going on all day. Allegedly, we learned that there was a football player that was drafted to the NFL. So that's what this whole celebration was about at that time. But
Yeah.
and that's why I say that it was just fishy because the police was already around that day. So if shots was fired already, I'm pretty sure they would have found the shooters or would have found out who did it right then and
Well, there
there.
were no shots then at
Yeah.
that point. But
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, you're saying after. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I'm saying like this was like during the day, because I know the party might have started like around 3 something, right?
Yeah,
And so,
probably.
I don't know what time the police got there, but there was security people there, searching everybody and stuff. And okay, if the security was there and okay, everybody was enjoying themselves and all, it was just like after it all happened with shots fired, where was the police then while the shots were being fired?
It's interesting because the next morning I went over to the area and I actually talked to one of the security that was at the party.
Hmm.
And he was stuck there because his car and phone were still in the property and he couldn't go in there. But
Hmm.
he was asking the same thing. He kept saying, with the first shots, I remember, I guess we could go into all of that, but I
Yeah, break
remember,
it down. Yeah.
yeah, basically, I was up working late and I had just gone into my room and flopped onto my bed to look at my phone.
Hmm.
And initially, upon getting on my bed, I started hearing the shots. Um, a good amount, and I started screaming, not sure if it were firecrackers or at that moment I wasn't too clear. I heard screaming, so I ran
Right.
upstairs
Yeah.
to get my boyfriend get a better view.
Hmm.
And then there was like a period. It seemed shorter, but on that live that someone at the party posted,
Hmm.
there seemed to be like a 2-minute gap.
Hmm.
And by the time the second round went off, the police drove up instantly. So there was like a 4 to 5 minute coming, which is really quick
Hmm.
considering how far the police station is. Because I think our area, I'm not sure about that spot, but where
Hmm.
we are exactly, we're West LA
Yeah.
in a sense.
Hmm.
So I still don't know how the cops got there quick, if there was a cop down there, one of them, and was waiting for the rest. That's something that has also been speculated.
Mm.
But yeah, it doesn't make sense. The security told me that he saw people drive up. So that's why the shooting occurred outside of the house.
Hmm.
But he was trying to understand how if there was such a spread between the two gunshots, if
Right.
people left back.
Right. So, I mean, because like I said, allegedly, people stated that there were shots fired inside the party
Mhm.
and there were shots fired from someone that came out of the bushes and start
Okay.
firing. So it was like, we didn't know like where the shots came from. Other people say there were
Yeah.
2 gunmen there. And that's why I was saying it's just so twisted with the way the news twists the story up. It just made it seem like it was a gang banging party, that a lot of gang bangers was there shooting craps and start shooting and everything like that.
Yeah.
And, so that's why I was just like, okay, well, no, this is why, we're very happy to have you here on Ethic Talk Radio Show because, you live in that neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
you heard what happened and, you observed what was happening prior to that time. So, man.
And there's been, even in COVID, there's been a lot of parties at that house and another up the street, and there's never been incidents like this.
Right.
They always are, a pool party style. It's always with a DJ. There's never, I guess it's clear that nothing really happens wrong because the parties go on. Like, usually if the cop, they have the right to stop a party at a certain hour, I think, for sound. That wasn't the case. It hasn't been the case with most of these parties. So I didn't see it. I never saw it as a concern. If anything, it was just like, oh, it's COVID. And then
and people didn't really, not to cut you off, I'm sorry about that. But, people is like, some people don't care about social distancing. Everybody want to go out, party, have a good time, and just live life to the fullest and live on the edge a little bit, So it was just like, man, that party was lit. I'm not gonna front with you. Like when I seen it on the news, I was like, wow, this is a lit party. And while we talk about this, I am going to show the world some slide photos of the party and just the little area around there. So that way people will know, well, where this happened at? So that way they won't be lost or anything about the situation. But it seems like a very suburb, quiet neighborhood. A lot of mountains there. It's, very peaceful and all that stuff. So that's why I was saying for it to be in the outskirts near Beverly Hills, California, you would think that the shooter would have been caught already because it's hard to get away from there if you committing a crime in that area. Don't you think so?
A big thing that I've always been aware of is where is there to go if you commit a crime? From that area, you only have two sides to go, either down Coldwater Canyon or down Beverly Glen.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense how you would be unable to find someone because I would imagine you would come from both angles to the cop.
Right.
And the only way someone could get away is getting on foot, but then a car would be left.
Right. I agree.
I don't know if they know something, but they're just keeping that portion under investigation in private, but it just doesn't make sense. And I had shared, I was at that point, I was posting on my Instagram story and I saw flashlights like from a cell phone running down the hillside after the second shots.
Wow.
And cops drove up. So at that moment, since I saw people running down the hillside, I did pick up the phone and was like, hey, there was a helicopter overhead at that point too. They both arrived at the same time. I said, hey, you guys should kind of check the hillside because I saw two objects going down the hill and that's not really a route. It's just
that seems fishy right there. If you've seen two people with flashlights running after it happened,
Yeah, and they didn't seem to, that was what was kind of frustrating is they didn't seem too concerned. They said, well, our cops are there now because they had just driven up. I'm like, I'm aware of that. I can see the cops, but I'm letting you guys know, maybe check the hillside because we don't know. It could be people trying to run away for safety, but it could also be the people involved. And it's better to just make sure, especially because you don't want them to accidentally scare someone. If they are people just running to be safe, they're going to end up in other backyards. Down below that house is a deep canyon neighborhood, which are like closer rather than the canyon side houses. They're right next to each other. So either way, the people, whoever it would be, would end up down there. So it's regardless of the fact,
Right.
checking that out. And they never seemed to act on it. I stayed looking at it throughout the
Yeah.
whole duration.
Right. Right. Man. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Everything that you're saying makes a lot of sense and everything. So from what you were seeing in the party during the day, how was the party during the day? Everybody was peaceful, getting along, having a good time. Tell us what you saw during the daytime.
It looked fun. I mean, one of the first things that we noticed when my boyfriend took the drone over was there were a lot of nice cars. And instantly, you just write off as, oh, it's, someone has money to have this party. That place is not cheap to rent out.
Yeah.
Regardless, it just didn't seem like a concern. It was like, okay, well, it's COVID, but there's been parties at that house more than ever. And there's another one up the road that has had parties every weekend. So at that moment, we're like, what's the point? And I had told my boyfriend, I don't think any of this will make the news. I didn't check the news. So I didn't see that at the time that all that was going on. It was becoming national news of this like non-social distancing pandemic party. I didn't find out about that being on the news till after the shooting. I told him I believed it would stay private because of the area. They like to keep the area not broadcasted on the news. So I really didn't think it would make any headlines. Even when the incident occurred, I didn't think it was going to make national news.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me that they want to keep this under the wraps and they want to cover this all up to make it look like it was a gang-related shooting. And that's what gets me is that why is it that every time black folks try to have a good time with other people and an altercation gets involved, they always assume that it's a gang-related shooting.
Yeah.
You know?
And I believe what I found interesting, there was someone that posted on Instagram, and I don't know the validity of that posting, but it sounded like they might have been at the party and they were saying that it was the media's fault that this happened.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. So,
Well, that's something I can completely agree with, something probable, because if anyone was having a huge party that became national news and anyone that's an outsider decides, hey, there's a lot of nice cars. Hey, we could easily go and, I don't know, Rob, we don't really know what went on, but no matter who is having a party, if you're having a party that's still going on, it's a big party, or anyone thinks that they can get away with sneaking in or wreaking havoc.
yeah,
It's going to happen regardless if it's black or white party,
right.
any of that. So I think it's unfair that they're writing it off and now calling it a completely gang related shooting, because we don't know, and you can't jump in.
It was originally a video with him saying something, and then all of a sudden the video was gone. Can't find it.
That is so interesting. Yeah, no, that made sense to me. I didn't feel like grabbing all people's takes on it, because at the moment I felt that the guy who had the live, he was jumping around saying from NFL party to rapper and friends in his comments, and it all of a sudden seems like it was evolving into all these different scenarios. And because I commented, news media was like, hey, have you heard of any celebrities there? I was like, I don't think it's
that was any celebrities there, huh?
That I think it's just because they don't broadcast that there's parties up here all the time, they assume that because there's a party up here, it's celebrity related.
Right. That's crazy. And now that you mention the video, I have the video that this guy had posted. Now, before we show the viewers the video here, we're not going to show all of it because it was very disturbing towards the end. But the guy that had the video, give us your take about this guy. Because, I mean, what do you think about this? Do you think that he was somebody that was there at the party already, or he just happened to arrive at the party and start filming when the shooting took place? Give us your take about that.
So personally, and this is just my take on just based on the perception, I had the impression based on the video that he either showed up because of the news, and I don't want to jump in, make a claim, but maybe he heard about it in the news and showed up, or maybe he had someone who was invited to the party who invited him. But I was under the impression that he did not know anyone. Just because, I mean, when you're at a party, if you're doing a live and you know people are going to be going in it like your friends and be like, oh, hey.
Right.
And it seemed like he was walking aimlessly throughout the party. I also seen that no one seemed to know him after, because there were people commenting that he allegedly deleted their comments, and they were saying all of what you're saying is wrong.
Yes.
So I personally don't know him. I can't speak for him, but I got the impression if people collectively who were at the party who all seem to know each other have no relation to him, I think it's very possible that some people who saw on the news that there's a party, apparently the address was listed while the party was going on. If you're looking for a good time and you drive up and somehow you're able to get in, then maybe that he didn't seem like a threat, but he was showing off the party and no one else was. So it's kind of goes to
it's so fishy. And we're gonna show it to the viewers of the video that we're talking about here. The shot starts to fire off.
The first set.
Yeah, it's the shot.
Who's are shooting then? Who's are shooting and shit?
Okay, so from the looks of things, watching this video and all, it just seems to me that the shots, when they were first fired, it came from outside. You know, people were saying that shots was fired from the inside. But but listening to this video, when the first shots fired, sounds like the shots came from the outside. And as he went outside already, that's when he started to hear the shots even louder close up to the phone. But that's why I'm saying, like, the news had twisted that shots were fired in the inside of the mansion, and that someone come out of the bushes on the mountains and start shooting. So it just sounds like in the video, shots was fired outside. So the first shots that happened, I wouldn't be surprised that it came out of the bushes instead of inside, because people were saying that there were two shooters there. And we like, okay, how was it two shooters there? Just don't make any sense. None of this adds up. Go ahead.
Yeah. And also, they taped off Mulholland when they were doing their investigation the next day. They didn't tape off just the house. So that gave me the impression that their full investigation was mostly on the exterior. But yeah, my impression was none of it happened inside. I know towards the end of the video, he shows someone that looks like they're bleeding inside.
Yeah.
It looks like they ran because you see a trail. It looks like they from outside to the inside. But yeah, it clearly was not someone that was there inside the party. And unless they do a full investigation, I don't think they can write it off as any kind of situation.
Right. Yeah. Because they were so quick to, relate it as a gang hit, And I don't think that this was a gang hit. You know what I'm saying? I think it was more deeper than that. Than just a gang hit. Like I said, none of it makes sense. So it's just like, wow, this is crazy. So do you remember like how many shots you heard when it first happened?
The initial, it really did sound close to 20 shots. There were a lot. So it's amazing that only 3 were shot in the end, like wounded. But it definitely sounded like it was a rain of bullets. Not familiar with them, so I don't know what it would have sounded like, but it was really fast. In shots. Like, I was shocked. I still don't understand how a second round could have happened with them not getting caught. That's something I just can't break away from.
Right. I believe it. And just, someone in the comments stated that this whole thing is just a bizarre. And I totally agree. I agree with you. Like, I agree with the people in the chat. Shout out to the people that are in the chat. Let's keep this chat peaceful here. If anybody come in here with all that negative nonsense, we're not going for that. Most definitely, because we're going to keep it peaceful here. Right here on Ethic Talk Radio TV show. That's what it's all about. Peace. Peace and love with everybody. So when you found out about the 35-year-old woman that was shot and that died, like, how did it affect you when you heard about that, about a mother with 3 children gone?
It was heartbreaking. Initially, I did hear that one person, before I found out that she had passed, one was in grave condition. They weren't releasing anything. And that in itself, I was heartbroken with, because everyone went out for a good time.
Right.
And then finding out that it was a mother of 3 children, that really broke my heart, that this senseless act took a mother from her children. That just, it also shows that this was not a targeted incident. They weren't making a direct target towards someone. They were just shooting and seeing where their bullets land, and it had the consequence of taking a mother away from her children. I believe all her kids were young as well.
Yeah, they were.
It's heartbreaking.
Indeed it is.
We don't know if she was leaving, if that was the end of her night anyways. I mean, even if just all of that it could have been prevented. For me, that's where I was feeling that, well, I completely hold the police responsible. Because either way, I think even if it wasn't a sound disturbance, I think at some point it was their responsibility to enforce. I think parties are supposed to end all around LA around like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So they could have prevented that from happening. The party went on all day. They all had a great time. Maybe for the safety of others, it would have been prevented, that she would have had her great night and gone home to her kids. And that's all the night would have been.
Right.
So that was something that I was very upset about. And I've been vocal about that, because I don't think the city or the police can get off on that fact, because now they're claiming that they're enforcing moving forward parties up here as a whole.
Right. It's okay.
And so I think it was pure negligence, because no one would have been harmed. And that's a fact, because it happened at right before 1 a.m.
Right.
So, and I get the impression the party was coming to an end at that point anyways. So could it have been a targeted thing where as people are leaving? It's unclear. So that is the sad. I think that's the hardest part. It's always sad when someone loses their lives, but it's not just, I mean, every death is terrible, but even her kids are being affected, her loved ones. And it's just a really sad situation.
Yeah, indeed it is. Because, I've known Brandi Parham for a very long time. And I've practically watched her grow, to becoming a strong woman. And she's always been a strong woman that stood her ground as a real woman. And a lot of people in the neighborhood loved her dearly. You know what I mean? She worked her day job, took care of her kids, and whatever free time that she had, she spent time with people in the neighborhood.
That's great.
And it was like it was all love, with her. I remember I seen her 2 weeks ago, before all this happened. And, we always had some deep conversations. We always asked each other, hey, how your kids doing and everything. Like I said, I've known her before she had children
Yeah.
and afterwards. And just to really see that no matter how busy she was, she made time for her people. She made time for her family. She made time for anybody that said, hey, I'm having a party, come through. She always came through, no matter what. And that was the type of person she was, very humble woman,
Yeah.
and yeah, she didn't play that mess. She'd take no mess from nobody. And that's a fact. But it really hit home because when I found out about it, coming from the store and all, and one of my peoples told me, hey, Brandi, the light-skinned shorty, little mama, man, she got shot at that party, and my mouth dropped because it really hits home when it's someone that you know.
Oh yeah.
You know what I
It,
mean? It really hits home. And it's just like, man, my biggest condolences goes out to her
yes.
children, to her family, to her mother, to her closest friends that really hung out with her and kicked it tough with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I guess she didn't know that she wasn't gonna come home that night. You know what I mean? It was just going to a party, celebrating with her homegirl. It was her homegirl's birthday, and she was going to the party to celebrate and have a good time.
Wow.
Despite the pandemic, despite all that, people want to get out and have a good time. But the
Yeah.
way, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What you was
No,
gonna say?
it's been a long pandemic. People should feel that they can go out.
Right, right. And go out and have fun and live on the edge a little bit, but be careful and be safe and be very cautious by any means necessary. And I think that, when you go to these parties now, it's like it's not a safe party. And I go back to saying this that, okay, look, there was a bus, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this, that it was a bus picking up people and dropping them off to the party.
I heard, I never saw it myself, but that's what I was hearing, that there was a bus, which is actually often a safety precaution.
Okay.
They purposely, when people are throwing parties out here, because also when I was in college, if there was a party in the hills, it was a similar thing. I went to college with like a son of someone who was famous. So
Okay.
when he threw a party, they would bust people or not show the location, and you get bussed over because it becomes a safety thing where no one knows where the address is. So the whole thing with the media sharing that takes away that whole security aspect. That's what I believe why they would do it, because that's why most people do the busing. They
Yeah.
usually will start, down the hill and just bust them straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, because when we heard that in the story that, there were buses, and then when they said that there was no arrest made, there are video of people being arrested going to jail that night. There is a video out. And there is a video. And the video, one of my people shared it to me of the aftermath of people being arrested, afterwards. But y'all didn't find, the shooters. So that's what I'm saying. It just seems very awkward. So
Yeah.
that's what I say. It's like so many seeping out. And I'm pretty sure that there's multiple footage from people's camera phones and stuff like that. And, because everybody takes selfies, take pictures and all that stuff like that. So it's just like, crazy how the way things ended.
Yeah. It it looked, I remember, even because of the timing, the next day, some of the people who were at the party, I saw their stories, and it looked like an overall good time, a kind of party that anyone would be going to and having a great time at.
Right.
But I don't understand. I had no clue, because I guess also since the media wasn't sharing that, I had no clue people got arrested. That doesn't make sense why they would do that. I guess that's kind of goes back into the mess of what LAPD had initially created from the start.
Yeah.
I truly believe it's just been a mess of a investigation. There's no way I can understand how people could get away, especially because the second shots were so close to the arrival of the police. They came within moments
Right.
of the second shots.
Man. And you said it was like over like 20 shots.
In the second
20.
round, they were really, I wonder if I don't know if I have the second ones. It might be on my Snapchat story, or not Snapchat, Instagram story, but both were very long, a lot of shots.
Yeah, man, I can imagine. That's why I said a lot of people was fearing for their life, trying to get away, try to get to their safe haven. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate, and it's tough, and we just hope for a better outcome, because
Yeah. There needs to be a heavier investigation. I really hope they find out who did. There has to be a way. I mean, I feel like they could get Beverly Park. I would imagine would have security cameras facing that way. They have security cameras on Mulholland for that neighborhood. So I don't know how they wouldn't have footage of that, or even the other side of Mulholland. A lot of houses have cameras outside to get license plates to see if someone drove off after, or
exactly. Yeah.
That Beverly Park, without a doubt, has cameras right outside. And like I said, that house is right next to Beverly Park. So I don't know. It looks like there might still be an investigation in the house, because when I drive past it, it doesn't look like it's been cleaned. So I would imagine that is part of the investigation. I don't know how that would really play unless they are doing the cameras to see if people ran away.
That makes a lot of sense, because, I mean, look, think about it. This is a upscale luxury neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're in the year 2020. I'm pretty sure people got high-tech surveillance cameras all over that mansion, all over the neighborhood. Even people that live in the neighborhood has surveillance cameras watching everything. No question about it.
When I run past Beverly Park, because I used to run up and down Mulholland, it's not the safest place to run because there's no sidewalks, but there's cameras, and the minute I run past it, their little security vehicle drives and goes to one of the entrances to make sure, I'm or anyone is not going into one of their entrances. So there's cameras out there. That's without a fact, or without a doubt. And the house is right on Mulholland. I would imagine all of them, because they're right on Mulholland, would have cameras facing all of those points. So no matter what, there's no other way for them to drive down. They have to pass by all of those houses.
Right.
So I'm shocked. I'm curious if maybe people are offering things up. And like I said, even the people running down the hill, I would imagine those houses have. I mean, even Ring is so accessible these days. People have to have something to offer up. I hope it's not the end of the investigation. I want them to keep going. There was a death. It's not just a shooting. And just like any shooting, this can be written off as a movie theater shooting. This could be written off as the Chili Fest or a Food Fest shooting up in NorCal. It's even though only 3 were shot, it was a mass shooting in a sense.
I mean, it's been a lot of massacre shootings, even the one in Florida. Remember that in that high school, when that 18-year-old came in shooting up the school, and a lot of students then got shot up pretty bad. Yeah.
No, we don't know if it's someone who's mad about. That's the other thing. We don't know if it's a person that's mad that people are partying in the pandemic. We can't write off what this is until they are able to actually find stuff. We don't know if I mean, there are unhinged people right now.
Yeah.
We don't know if someone's just mad that there's a party and they went out of their way to make a point.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of options, and I think the easy way is to write it out as a gang-related shooting. It's not the right way to write it out, because now it's like, oh, well, because it was gang-related, it doesn't matter. That's not what it was. So, yeah, it's all bad right now, the situation.
Of course, because like you said, there was many parties that happened in that mansion. A lot of parties.
More in the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic, I know they paying like $10,000 a night for that mug.
Yep, just for a party. Yeah, so they've been having it. That house for many years was having maybe 1 or 2 parties a year, and lately it's been having more. And like I said, there's one up the road that has every weekend.
Right.
And there's been no coverage. So I was just like, it didn't make sense why this blew up the way it did. And that, of course, the one time it blows up, there is an incident.
Wow.
So that doesn't
Go ahead. I'm sorry about that. You said it doesn't make sense. Go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense, because this isn't like, oh, the one time that there's a party up here. There's always parties. And I think, like, if that didn't happen, there'd be parties at the other house this weekend. And none of them were getting coverage. There was a big one on 4th of July, not at that house, at a one that's about 2 miles from that house, both on Mulholland. There's been huge, bigger than that party, covering the street of Mulholland with parking.
Wow.
No coverage.
Like stupid kickbacks, huh?
Oh, yeah. Just the complete, and that house doesn't have parking like the other one, so they all park out. No coverage, no incident. And the minute it gets broadcasted, there's an incident. So suspicious.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I just want to say that I hope everyone that was involved or present at the party and Brandi's family, I want to send my deepest condolences. Let them know that, like, it wasn't their fault. I don't think anyone is blaming them. I don't think anyone up here is blaming them. And just that I hope everyone is safe and that Brandi's family is recovering from this and that everyone stays safe now.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, that's I send my biggest prayers and condolences out. Our prayers goes out to the family of Brandi Parham. And that's all we can do is hope that everyone gets answers and the truth comes out. Either way it go, that the truth needs to come out, because like I said, it's some fishy shit. It's fishy. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. And I always tell people, in situations like this, you got to keep an open mind, regardless of the fact, whether you like it or not, whether you want to hear it or not. You still have to overall keep an open mind about the situation and use logical common sense to the situation. So, Miss Ashlee, I greatly appreciate having you here on Ethic Talk Radio Show. You are like our first guest here on our talk radio show, live streaming here on YouTube. And I hope that we can touch bases with each other and everything and all, and take it from there and keep an update. If it's anything that you find out, feel free to reach out to me, and we'd love to have you back here on this show.
No, I'm honored.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me. I mean, I'm honored to be your first live streaming guest. If I hear anything else, which I do hope, I hope it doesn't just fizzle out. I hope there's more information. I will definitely be listening out and offering up any information. And I hope that Brandi and the 2 others that were injured
Yeah.
I hope we get justice, because that's what it now is. It's about getting justice.
Right. Right. I hope so too. We all do. We all hope for justice to prevail. Point blank period.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's still a tough process for a lot of us, including the family. That's going to be a very long time for them to process the
Mhm.
loss of Brandi, because
Yeah.
there's people out there that still can't believe it.
Yeah.
So, man, it's deep. It's deep.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Miss Ashlee, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I
We
appreciate it.
Anytime we will stay in touch. We will be in touch. You can reach out to me anytime with anything that you know.
I
All right?
will. Thank
All right.
you.
Anytime. You take care of yourself, all right?
You too.
Okay. Much love to you.
Coronavirus ain't about to stop me come May 6th. I'm telling y'all, that's my birthday. I'm about to be turned up somewhere. Fuck this mask, girl. I'm about to be turned up somewhere for May 6th. Coronavirus is not stopping me. I'm tired of this shit. Yeah, a lot of people are dying from it, but everybody ain't just dying from COVID-19. That's just the label they putting on this shit. I believe in my higher power. We all gotta die one day. You feel me? Good morning, guys. Fresh at work. Look at this. This is what we walk in our office to. Oh, they love us, Rosie. Oh, and they know my favorite color is red. Oh my God, this was so sweet. This was so sweet.